Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much to join us on our wonderful session that you're about to start. I welcome you all for honoring the time for you to be here to accommodate us in your busy schedule and make sure that you are getting as much as knowledge that you can get from this webinar that is hosted by RMIS. My name is Khomotso Mashiloane, and I'm Livestock Technical Advisor at RMIS Industrial Services. And today I'll be your host on this webinar titled Land Bank, Financial Tool That Every Farmer Should Know. Whether you are a communal farmer or commercial farmer, this session is designed for you to make sure that you are entitled or you have enough information that will enable your farming enterprise to grow and also become competitive in the red meat industry. So today I'm not alone. I'm joined by Yvonne Panya together with Chris Chaka, who are going to assist us on this webinar to make sure that you get the relevant and the right information toward the financial scheme. So Yvonne, welcome to the team.
Thank you so much, Khomotso. Thank you to everyone who has joined the meeting. I see it is a nice number that we're starting off with. Thank you so much for taking the time off your families, of your busy schedules, and of your farming activities. I am from Land Bank Insurance. Today I have brought the provincial head in Gauteng from the bank side, because I always believe when you are going to talk about the risk mitigation factors for farmers, it is important to also touch on what the bank can do for them, because we are in fact under the same umbrella. As we proceed today, we're going to get into it. The time, 1 hour is not nearly enough for the information that we would like to share, but it is better than not sharing the information at all. So we will kickstart with what Chris Chaka can share with the farmers on the line regarding the financing of livestock. So we will focus our presentations mainly on livestock today because in the room we've got a lot of livestock farmers. Chris, I will hand over to you to start sharing your presentation regarding what Land Bank has to offer our farmers when it comes to livestock farming. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. In the meantime, when Chris is still sharing his presentation, you're more than welcome to use our Q&A or chat box to ask questions during the presentations. Then in around 30 minutes after the presentation, you'll have an opportunity to ask a question directly to our guest speakers today. So make use of this opportunity and enjoy the session.
Very good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay, hold on. Let me do this. Why can't I share all of a sudden? Still nothing.
Still nothing?
Oh my goodness. But we've just shared it briefly not so long ago. And I'm wondering what's happening now.
Now it's coming.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, what is projecting now? It's your calendar.
And now?
It's your calendar. There is something that is showing, but it's your calendar, not the presentation.
No, I've removed the calendar. I've got the presentation now. You still can't see it.
At the moment, I can still see the calendar.
No, it says I'm sharing on this side, and it's not the calendar. Let's just give it maybe a moment.
Okay. Maybe if you close your reminders. Now you have completely removed it. No, currently you've completely removed it. You have removed it. Please try to reshare.
I can try to reshare on my side. I think it was the blended finance brochure, Chris.
Yes, it was.
Okay. I hope I do have the up-to-date one. Okay, I will be sharing momentarily.
All right.
Okay, whilst you're trying, Yvonne, maybe in the interest of time, may I start?
Yeah. I can see yes, it's there now.
Yeah, can you make it bigger?
I've made it 125.
Okay, and please kindly scroll down to the content itself. Okay. Once again, a very good evening to farmers that have taken their time to join us for this webinar. My name, as introduced, is Chris Chaka. I'm the provincial head for Gauteng. I look after the origination and existing clients. So basically, my job is to onboard farmers that are interested and qualify for funding with Land Bank within the Greater Gauteng region. So as you probably are aware, there is this blended finance scheme. This is a program that was established in partnership with DAURAD to commercialize development farmers and also to facilitate meaningful participation within the industry. And your industry, which is the red meat industry, falls within those that should be given the attention. As you'll appreciate, it goes without saying that the biggest inhibitant in agriculture is capital. And the blended finance is designed to assist qualifying farmers to access a loan that is blended with a grant, okay? The loan you pay back like any other loan, but the grant you do not have to pay back. Obviously, the loan comes with its own conditions, and the qualifying criteria also comes with its own conditions. But by and large, a farmer who is an existing farmer or even a new entrant farmer can apply and be considered for this beautiful program. The commodities that are targeted, as you can see, livestock and red meat is one of them, and I'm going to limit my discussion to that. But I think what's most important before I even go to who qualifies and who does not qualify, as you'll see from here, is for the farmers to understand that access to land is the most fundamental issue for cattle farming, okay, or red meat farming, if I can call it that, or livestock farming. And each region has got its own LSU. So let's take maybe in the Greater Gauteng. Most areas, the holding capacity is 1 hectare, is 1 cow to 5, 6, or 7 hectares. So if your intention is to say farm with 100 animals, you must have access, and I mean reliable access, to 100 times the LSU. So if it's 5, you need to have 500 hectares for you to be able to do that. Now, as Land Bank, you are aware we are 100% owned by the National Treasury. We are aligned with the with the Agricultural Master Plan, and we cannot fund a farmer who is obviously breaching or in breach of the environmental laws of the country, of which this LSU is one of those. We are not prescriptive in where you want to participate within the value chain of livestock. So you could be a backgrounder, you could be a breeder, it could be a feedlot that you're running. All of them can be considered. You obviously then need to make sure that the feed that is needed for your enterprise, you have access to it. With breeding, if you are in the breeding space, we know that a cow falls pregnant for 9 months. It carries its young one for 9 months in the stomach, gives birth, natures the calf until such a time is ready to wean it, or you, the farmer, are ready to wean when you've reached your target weight, or you've reached your target weight with the beast that you are breeding. And after that, you wean it and you introduce the cow back to the bull, and the cycle goes on and continues like that. It's very important, if you are in this space, to make sure then you've got productive cows. Because if you don't have the productive cows, cows that are capable of giving birth, one birth after the other, that is very, very important. However, if you are buying cows, okay, we strongly recommend that your acquisition of cows be cows that are either certified pregnant, or you, the farmer, if you're a breeder, are comfortable that once you nurture this animal on your farm, you will be in a position to it will be in a position to give you the birth, which is a multiplication, and that is your business. If you are in the feedlot, okay, in the feedlot space, there's certain rules and regulations that you must be mindful of. If you are doing more than 500 cows per cycle in a feedlot environment, you will need an EIA. If you are doing 499 and below, you don't need an EIA. I think it's very important to understand that, because if you then go over and above that and you don't have an EIA, we as Land Bank are not in a position to be able to support you, and we need proof of the EIA. As you'll appreciate, it does take time to get an EIA, and it's quite an involving process, which can take, in my experience, I've seen it take as long as 2 years. But I've also seen after that, after having waited for so long, there is no guarantee. Okay, EIA is environmental impact assessment. My apologies, I used an acronym, assuming that we are all aware of this. It is permission by the Department of Environmental Affairs for you to carry those cows, because if you do so without their permission, you are in breach of our national laws. LSU stands for Livestock Holding Units. That's what LSU stands for. So coming back to the EIA, okay, you need to have it, because your application for it is no guarantee that it will be granted. I've witnessed a couple of farmers who were so confident that they would get the EIA, only for it to be declined. And as Land Bank, we would not want to be pursuing an application that does not have this fundamental requirement in place. But be reminded, it's only for numbers northwards of 500. So for you to qualify your or to calculate your holding unit for goats and sheep, we call that small livestock. Okay. For one cow is the equivalent of 6 sheep or 6 goats. So if you've got capacity to hold 10 cows, you've got capacity to hold 60 goats. You just multiply the number of cows, the LSU tells you, and you multiply that by 6. That's how you get your holding capacity for the small livestock, namely your goats and your sheep. It's also important as livestock farmers to understand and appreciate how we structure your funding. So if you're in the breeding space, your cows only give birth once a year. Because they give birth once a year, we then align your payment profile for your loan for you to only pay once a year. This is because if we buy you or we help you buy the cows in January and the cows are pregnant, until such a time as they've given birth, you are not in a position to be able to sell anything to you for you to service the loan. So if you're in that space, we would require for you to pay once in a year. If you are in the feedlot space, you keep your cows there for, say, 100 days, 120 days. We will fund you at the beginning of the cycle, including that which you need during the cycle. And we expect you, when you have sold the cows at the end of the cycle, to then settle the loan. But be mindful, we will allow you to the cycle as much as the cycle is 3 months, 120 days, 100 days, depending on how your operations are structured. We still allow you to pay at the end of the year. Yvonne, the presentation has disappeared.
Okay, Chris, I'm trying to share it with the audience on the chat.
Okay.
All right, because the rest of it is on the brochure. We are just looking at the time. Okay, I will share that away, Chris.
All right.
Okay. No, I'm almost done. I think the qualifying criteria, if you share it with them, that's something that they can read for themselves.
Yeah.
And see who qualifies. You have to be South African, but there's one thing that I just need to highlight. Because you are being funded using a component of government money, government has laid one amongst the conditions that are there for you to qualify. Government has its own rules, and one of the rules is you must pay minimum wage. So the government is saying we are not empowering you to become a better slave master. Rather, we want you to create that much needed employment which is sustainable, and they will audit your salaries or your thing for workers. It is also important to understand that Land Bank will not put money into your bank account. You submit an invoice to Land Bank. Once you've submitted an invoice to Land Bank with proof of banking details, we pay directly your supplier. We send you the proof of payment, and you use that to go and collect your animals. This is because in the past, people have abused money that has been deposited in their accounts and not gone and done that which it was approved for. Our loan for breeding cows is over 8 years. So if you say your loan component is R1 million, your grant component is R1 million, the loan component is paid over 8 years. The pricing of the loan component is prime plus 1.75. So it's linked to prime. Okay. We are talking about cattle, and I'm limiting this conversation to cattle. We will share, as promised by Yvonne, this presentation that you see, which then will talk around who qualifies and who does not qualify. But as you can see there, it says, if you make a profit, you must share 10% of the profits with your employees. That's one of the government conditions. Again, they will check and verify that, and you will be audited to make sure that you are also compliant with regards to this very important requirement by the government. If you are going into a joint venture with a white commercial farmer, okay, the white commercial farmer cannot own more than 40% of the enterprise or the joint venture. Similarly, they cannot own less than 26%. This is to obviously manage fronting. And whilst they do so, there must be an exit plan for the white commercial farmer, because he could be mentoring you whilst you're doing it, but at some point he needs to leave the business and for you to be able to stand on your own. I think for now, that's what I can tell you in 15 minutes. Here at head office in Gauteng, in Johannesburg, every Wednesday between 10 o'clock and 1 o'clock, I hold a detailed presentation on how to prepare your application, what to consider, what the bank, how the bank wants you to structure some of these things. It's a 3-hour session, and it's held every single Wednesday between 10 o'clock and 1 o'clock. Thank you, Yvonne.
Thank you so much, Dr. Machaka. Chaka, sorry. Yvonne, I think the time is yours for now, and then we'll take the questions after then.
The presentations are held at Land Bank head office in Centurion, opposite the cricket stadium. It's an office park at the corner of West and Lenchen Road in Centurion, opposite the cricket stadium. The office park is called Lakefield.
Lakefield. Okay.
Yes.
No, thank you so much, Dr. Chris, to clarify that.
Thank you so much, Chris. That was a very insightful presentation on what is required by the bank when our livestock farmers go ask for funding. All right, now the second session is going to be on the risk mitigation tools. So let's say now you are farming, whether you are funded by the bank or not yet funded by the bank, this product will be applicable to you. So just remember who we are. We are Land Bank Insurance Company. We are owned by we are a subsidiary rather of Land Bank. So we are basically an in-house insurance company. We are registered like any other insurance company in the country under the FSCA, and we are also regulated by the Prudential Authority. What sets us apart in the industry, or why we exist really, is about that mandate. The mandate is to support an inclusive agricultural sector, which means we must not leave the emerging farmers behind. So we are here to come up with insurance solutions, because when the bank insures your livestock, so it's all linked, they will ask you to obtain insurance cover to protect the asset that they've invested in. So that's where we come in, okay? And it helps that we are in-house. So that is our mandate, to really promote inclusive agricultural sector by promoting greater participation of previously disadvantaged persons, therefore transforming the industry. And at the same time, we are not leaving our commercial farmers behind. We are still assisting our commercial farmers. The bank is also still working with commercial farmers to a great extent. At Land Bank Insurance, okay, I'm going to talk to you about something new, something for drought insurance on the fodder, the feed of your cattle, because Chris mentioned you need to be able to feed the cattle that the bank will be buying for you. So we are here with a solution that we are busy piloting. These are the products. I'm not going to dwell too much on this slide. These are the products that are available at Land Bank Insurance at the moment. What we are piloting is there on the bottom right-hand side. It's called index insurance. This is something fairly new in the industry. It has not yet been approved as a product that any insurance company can sell. That is why we are piloting. I am aware that there's another insurance company that's piloting a similar product, but we're not really privy to the details of it. So I will talk about what I know, which is what we are piloting. In terms of insurances, you've got your traditional insurances, and this one does not form part of traditional. It's called index insurance. So if you hear the word index, it's there to serve the purpose of what we are going to be talking about today. So basically, index insurance is unlike your normal insurance. You have to choose a supplier. You have to look at data. So it's very data driven. You will see as I start explaining it. You need to choose what you insure for. Okay, so whether you're going to insure for a weather peril such as a drought, you need to pick one thing. And you need to look at what the farmer needs are. So we've gone and looked at what our livestock farmers need in South Africa in order to thrive and in order to be able to pay back the loans that they've taken with the bank and to become commercial farmers one day. Okay, so we also looked at the affordability of the premium. Okay, so this is really a product that is suitable for small scale farmers, and that is how we have designed it. All right, I'm just going to jump to this slide. So index insurances, okay, so in South Africa at the moment we are starting out. Maybe you will hear more and more about indexes in the near future as the weather patterns change and the needs change, the needs of the farmer change. Farming is one thing that we can't stop doing. So we just need to find ways to make sure that our farmers do thrive and do well in their businesses. So there is yield insurance. This one we're not going to talk to today. It's for crop farmers. What we are going to talk to is the vegetation or livestock yield. Okay, so that is the only one that we are going to talk about today for this session. When we are holding other sessions, we do cover a lot of the other information, okay, but for this session we will limit it to what is related to livestock farming or red meat farming. So if you look at on this slide here, the index, because remember we look at drought, so we're not going to measure how much rain you have and how much rain you do not have. We will monitor the conditions. So we use a system called NDVI. Okay, so this is a big acronym, but it stands for Normalized Difference Vegetation Index. Okay, you will get to understand how we use it. But what it does really is it looks on the grounds. It looks at whether it's green, which is going to be good conditions. That means there's no drought, or whether it's poor conditions. So you see the pictures at the bottom of the screen. That would be a good condition and poor conditions. And that is a very simplified story there that I'm telling because you do get numbers in between. All right, so what does the pasture drought? So this is the one we call pasture drought. What does it do for you as a farmer? And why do we have it? Okay, so it is for you to get information on what impacts you've had from drought on the vegetation of your farm. It measures the total amount of forage available during the contract season relative to historical average forage available for that period in the specific area using the NDVI. So you see the word, the NDVI, Normalized Difference Vegetation Index. So that is what we use. Unlike traditional insurance, there is no proof and quantification of loss, as the vegetation serves as proof. Any loss payment will be paid to the policy holders automatically after the cover period. Okay, so I will dive a little bit deep into this. All right, so what is covered? Basically, it's forage deficit. When there's a drought, your animals do not have enough food. They don't have enough food during the raining season or when it's supposed to be raining, and they will definitely not have enough food in the dry seasons. Okay, so we are here to assist you with that. The cover that you see there, that is not covered in the index.
It sounds like you're asking about a situation where animals don't have enough food, particularly.
Oh, sorry, AI is reading my voice and answering me now on my phone. Okay, so what is not covered? The theft of animals, death of animals, diseases of animals, not in this index. That is covered on a different policy, which is called the asset policy. I'll quickly touch on it as well. So how do we do this? So you are the farmer, you will take the policy, and in the municipal area, we will be reading what the NDVI is per municipal area. But you will say the municipal area, Yvonne, is somehow too large. And how are you going to make sure that you get zoom into my farm? So I think this spatial resolution of 500 meter to 500 meter will hopefully assure you that that is how much we zoom in. I've been told that is the best satellite imaging you can actually get for this kind of thing. So what we also get is we get a report, an NDVI report that shows you as the farmer who has taken the policy what the conditions were in that particular period. Okay, so there will be frequent updates to the farmers who've taken the policies, giving them exactly what has been happening. Remember, we use data. We use a lot of data because you need to know what is normal and what is not normal. So we know over the years since 2012, we're using data from 2012, in each municipal area, what has been normal conditions and what is below normal conditions. We will be using numbers. Okay, so if, for example, I showed a slide here where, and let me quickly go back, where it is dry, very dry, and where it is green. Okay, so these are the extremes. There will be numbers in between. So I want you to look at the top right-hand side. So you will see there that there's a graph. Okay, so this is just for illustration purposes. It looks at 2008 to 2018, and you will see that the normal line sits at 0.3. So we will also have similar numbers which we will communicate with our brokers and our policy holders as to where does the normal line start. And you can see that the orange line. So we're saying, all right, if it is green enough until that orange line, we're not going to have a claim, but anything above that orange line, which we call a trigger, means that that municipal area will have a claim. It might not be 100% of a claim because it's not completely dry. It might be something in between. So that is how we are going to look at this. How do I insure, Yvonne? So what we are saying is we are insuring cows, calves, sheep, and goats. The cattle is the biggest. So we are saying, according to our research, forage costs per cattle per month is 1,500 Rand. And because this is drought insurance, we are covering only in 5 months, which is the raining season. So we do in South Africa expect the rain in 5 months, and that is the period that we are going to insure. 1,500 per cow for 5 months, that's 7,500 Rand. And then the other smaller animals, their calculations are there. All right, I just want to show you a picture of this can happen in any region. This is some numbers from maybe you did not move with me onto the next slide. So these are numbers from not from South Africa, but you will see that the NDVI was monitored for these years, and you will see that in 2015, look at that, there was a complete drought. The insurance payout was huge here to all the farmers that took. You will see that in 2018, there was also some level of drought. And if you look at that loss ratio, that means claims were paid. Out of the 100% of premium that was received, 79.9% was paid out in claims. All right, and you will see that in the years where the blue is much lower, then the percentage number of claims that were paid is a little bit lower. So that is what we're looking at, and that is that 2015 and that 2018 would be very important for you as a farmer to benefit from this product. I just want to quickly show you a quotation of what it would look like. It's a very simple one, this product. So we would ask you for, there's a top part to this form that you will not see. I just want to show you what it would more or less cost. So this is an indicative quote that we did for one of our clients in KZN. And I wanted to show you per cow, per animal, basically, how much it would cost. So the one cow, remember the cover is, insured amount is 7,500. So we will insure the feed for the 5 months. And the premium there for the full 5 months would be 577.50 for one animal. So you would basically, when we're doing quotes for you farmers, which we do encourage, let us do the quotations, look at the costing, and play around with the numbers. So if you have, for example, 100 cattle, and you say, we do a quotation for you, and you say, it's a little bit too much for me, let me maybe only insure 50. So this will be insured for food equivalent to the food that you'd get for 50 animals, which is the 7,500 multiplied by 50. Okay, and the premium will only be based on that 50. We're not going to penalize you for not insuring all your animals. With this kind of product, it is 100% fine. So I just want to quickly talk about how it would work. Okay, so we would do a quotation for you. We would give you the premium as a farmer. You work around and see, okay, where can I achieve? Then we would ask for the premium to be paid for the 5 months within 31 days of taking the policy. And individual farmers are responsible to pay the premium based on the quotations that they have received and the policies that they have taken. The policy ends at the end of the 5 months, which is the raining season. It will be predetermined on your policy as well, that this policy will end at this particular point. We will then send you a cease of cover letter. And we will underwrite up front, so there are no questions that we will ask during the period or at claim stage, because remember, we're using our system, the NDVI, to do all the work to determine whether there's a claim or not. And if there is a claim in that municipality, then the payouts will be made 40 days max to the qualifying farmers. Okay. Farmers who have not paid their premium will not receive a payout. And in fact, when you don't pay your premium within that 31 days, the policy will actually lapse and you will receive a lapse letter. Okay, so that is it on the index that I would like to share for you today. There is a lot more information available from us. We have a national footprint. You can grab my number and we can chat. I will direct you to the right people in your area. So let's talk about livestock under asset insurance. I mean, I can't be an insurance company and not cover what livestock covers you can get. So this is under the asset policy, but I've only taken this section because it's relevant to this group. So under assets, we cover a whole lot of things such as the buildings, the vehicles, the tractors, all of that. We do also cover livestock under the asset policy. You do have to have other sections in order to get the livestock. It's not a standalone product. Okay, so for normal livestock, we would cover the livestock for fire and lightning, plant poisoning, 65% of the benefit. You can top up that benefit at an additional premium. If you're a farmer, you do transport your animals from time to time to auction or to a neighboring farm, or which in our case, we will actually give you transit cover. The transit cover will cover fire, collision, and overturning of the vehicle. We will cover lightning to the transit, flood, and we will also cover theft following. So this is where you will see theft insurance coming in for livestock. That is only once it's in transit. We will cover you for any loss or damage whilst your livestock is being loaded or being unloaded. Okay, which is very, very nice. We've got a specific policy section, which is also under the asset policy, pedigreed animals. So if you are the farmer who has now done this correctly and you have certificates that your animals are 100% of a specific breed, and that is for cattle, sheep, and goats, the cover for you then becomes much nicer. So it means you will get transit cover, accidental plant poisoning, calf extension, fire extinguishing charges, and debris removal. In fact, these extensions here are the same for your normal livestock. Okay, and then what additional things will a pedigree? These are not now the same as the livestock. A pedigreed animals insured would get some diseases. So you will then be able to purchase impotency, red water fever, heart water fever, gall sickness, pulpy kidney, blue tongue, plant poisoning, and emergency feeding following a farmer. So we know that following a fire, animals will be out of food. So there will be some cover for that there. All right, let me quickly show you some examples of what your livestock policy or section under the asset policy would look like. So I've just screenshot the livestock section. These particular clients have a full asset policy. So you will see that there's item 1, which is covering death or destruction by fire or lightning. So we will tell you up there what this part is covering. So you will tell us, I've got Angora goats, and 303 of them, and this is the value, the replacement value for all these goats. We then ask you as a client, do you want the extensions? So these you do pay an additional premium. In my next example, you will see what the premiums look like. So in this example, you will only be charged for the fire or lightning. And then in my next example, then the farmer also took the extensions, all right? So they took every extension for 160,000 Rand. So let me use a simple example here, the storm, hail, or snow. So the farmer says, all right, if there's storm, hail, or snow, I might not be able to save about 10% of my animals. And there is the premium for that. So you will select the extensions and we would include them there for you. All right, so that is the last slide on my pack. I am now going to pause, but remember our address. If you can take a quick picture, I will not be able to share the full presentation with you, unfortunately, but I do have a brochure for index insurance and for asset insurance. There's our address where Chris was inviting all the farmers to come on a Wednesday. The sessions start at 10 o'clock. That is our address there on the last slide. Thank you so much.
Okay, no, thank you so much, Yvonne, for informative and insightful presentation. We'll now open the floor for questions and comments. If you have any questions or clarity that you need, please raise your hand or maybe drop your question on the chat box. Let's start with hands, then after that we'll look for the chat, the question in the chat box. All right. Our first question is from Ntatorme Moses. Okay, giving you the permission to allow the mic. All right, Ntate Ome Moses, please ask your question.
Evening, colleagues. Mine is just to say, what is the rate of failure? Let's say there was 10 applications that were approved and were given to the colleagues. So what percentage of failures that normally happens, and what can be the cause that you find that this farm, we close it, it doesn't succeed anymore? What can be the most cause?
Okay, then I hope May Yvonne and Ndate Chris, you are noting the question down. So I'm going to take the first three, then after then we take the second round. Okay, our second speaker is from Ndate Ome Dinto Taunyane. I hope I spelled it correctly. All right. Taunyane?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
It's Dilbert Taunyane.
Oh, Taunyane. All right. No, my apologies.
Now, I just want to find out if I want to increase my farm carrying capacity, and then I want to go to establish pastures. Is there a loan that I can get from the land bank for pasture establishment? Thank you.
Noted. Right. Our last question for this round is from Susan. Susan, the stage is yours.
Hi, good evening. I wanted to ask basically regarding the EIA, is there any amount of money that we need to pay to get the certificate or for the assessment to be done for us? And number two, I think I asked if whether there's an interest or is it a grant or a loan? Yeah, I think I had those two questions. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. May Yvonne and Ntate Chris, it's an opportunity to answer the questions.
Okay, thank you. I think all three questions are probably directed to my space from a banking point of view.
Yes, that's correct.
So the first question was, what are the causes of farm failures? It was not really clear. Is it what is the failure? What are the cause of failure in the application process or on farming activities happening on the farm? But I'll answer both of them regardless. Okay. So the causes of of one's application not succeeding is viability. Okay. As a bank, we are very interested in repayment ability. So when you do your cash flow, okay, and you say this is how much money you're going to make, these are just projections, by the way, okay? If the numbers are sustainable, verifiable, and able to carry the debt that you intend to introduce into the business, you will succeed in your application. However, if the numbers are not adding up to the extent that there is no repayment ability from what you're asking vis-a-vis what your productive value is, that could also be a cause. And then there is issues around, if you're overgrazing, or what you're intending for the bank to fund will result in you overgrazing because you now are falling outside the LSU, which I earlier on spoke about. That too would not be looked favorably in with regards to your application. And then the second question is to increase farm carrying capacity. Okay. Yes, indeed. Planted pastures are one way of increasing your planted your carrying capacity. We will, or we are in a position to fund you, but be rest assured that as we look at these applications, it's on a case-by-case basis, because it's not a box ticking exercise. Can you still hear me?
Yes, you can still hear you.
Okay, hold on one sec. I'll just be thrown out here. Okay. So yes, you can apply for a loan to establish pastures that will result in your carrying capacity being positively affected. We can fund that. Okay.
All right.
As long as you can pay back the loan component, let me continue adding that one. In as far as EIA is concerned, EIA is applied normally. What we see, because it gets very technical and complicated for the men on the streets to do it, people end up resorting to using consultants, environmental consultants, to have this applied for them. Why do I say it gets technical? Is because it needs to be gazetted in the local newspapers, maybe 2 or 3 times. Okay. And there might be objections from your neighbors who will then need to come forward and object. So, like I'm saying, or like I said earlier on, you're applying for an EIA is no guarantee that you're going to get it. There have been instances where people have not got it because there have been objections. But the best people to speak to and to guide you will be someone who's qualified to navigate the technicalities around the National Environmental Act itself. Is there funding for the EIA? Unfortunately, not at Land Bank at this juncture, okay? Because as you can see, you will pay 200,000 or however amount you need to pay to get your EIA, okay? And please, I would like to remind you, the EIA is only needed for feedlots holding more than 500 cows. You don't need an EIA if you are grazing in your pastures, whether you planted pastures or not, as long as your holding capacity is as nationally stipulated by the Department of Environmental Affairs. You only need EIA for feedlots and nothing else within the cattle space. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chris. Now I'll be taking the questions on the chat box before I go back to the question directly with the mic. So the question from the chat box one says, what securities do you require to get a loan? And then the 2 last one from the side is, does the policy holder pay for 5 months cover or the whole year premiums? What happens when the incident happened outside the cover? And then also, is there any cover for lightning? And the last one, it says, do you also cover the farmers that are in communal land?
Okay, what security is needed? I can only the rest are insurance questions. You will answer that. So from a land bank point of view, okay, we do not ask you for additional security. So you don't need any other security other than the animals that you are farming with, okay? And it is those animals that we take as security. So you don't need to then start seeding your house and everything else, because if anything, what we fund as Land Bank is our security. That's why we are thorough in our assessment, because we're not asking for additional security.
Okay.
And the next 3 questions, I think they are Yvonne's questions.
Yes, they are more directed to the insurance side. Yvonne?
Yes, 100%. Thank you so much for those questions. All right, I've noted them down here. Okay, so there is another question that I noted there. Are we going to have similar presentation on grain in the future, since we are only focusing on livestock today? And lastly, can you come to do presentation for farmers? If that's so, what is the procedure? Thank you. All right, so that was an awesome question. So yes, we do grain presentations, and we do come to farming communities. I will leave my number here. If you can just let me know what area you are from, how many farmers can we get to there, and we will arrange everything from our side. So we just need your support gathering the farmers, and we will come and do the presentation. It's not even a problem. All right, and another question was, why are these numbers or stats not based in South Africa? We do have some South African stats, but they're not on our slide packs just yet. But yeah, we do have the data in the office, which every policy holder will know what we are basing the normal on. So remember, we are still talking now about the index. So the normal is based on South African stats. So rest assured, we will not be using international stats to determine whether you are under drought conditions or not. So another person was asking to write down the address for the Wednesday sessions. I do believe that it was shared further down. Does the policyholder pay for only 5 months of cover or the whole year premium? What happens when an incident happens outside of the cover period? All right, these are, okay, so this, because remember I spoke about the asset insurance and I spoke about the index. For the index insurance, a client will pay only for the 5 months. So when we charge you a premium, it's only for the 5 months period. We're not going to charge you for 12 months because we are not going to give you cover for 12 months. So the premium is set at 5. On the asset policy, you will then pay the premium as long as you want. It's a month by month policy. If you want to pay annually in advance, you are more than welcome to pay annually in advance. If a drought incident happens, let's say the cover ends end of April, and the drought incident occurs in May, I mean, that's no longer expected to be the raining season. So you can't exactly call it a drought. That is on the index side. So on the asset side, if your livestock gets hit by lightning after the policy has ended, you will then not be able to claim for lightning. And lightning is an insured peril under the asset policy. I hope that answers those questions.
Yes. No, thank you so much, Yvonne. Yes, and also time is not on our side, so we'll take the last batch of questions. Then you'll also share your contacts, so at least if they have any other question, then they can get contact of you and Chris. So now I'm going to open Susie M. Okay. May I enter Susie M?
Hi, Khomotso.
Hi, how are
Hello.
you? Hello?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. I had two questions for Tate Chris. The name is Sosi. So I wanted to know, first question was, because you mentioned that with livestock, due to the turnaround time of the farmers getting money, you look at long-term loans for that. So if as a farmer, I've gotten an approval from the land bank, meaning I've met all criterias, and this loan was before blended finance came to play, can I then refinance or restructure the loan so that I can benefit from the blended finance? And then my second question is that Dr. Chris mentioned how the disbursement goes. So you would identify where you want to buy your cattle, and then the land bank pays directly to the place. So what I wanted to know is that what happens if, as a farmer, I've identified a stud breeder and I want to increase my genes and strengthen the gene pool of my cattle, and I'd like to do a couple of rounds of IVF. Is Land Bank then in a position to finance that whole process? Thank you.
Those two were definitely for you, Mr. Chaga.
Oh, sorry, I thought there were more questions coming through. Okay, fine. So you cannot refinance an existing loan and blend it. That you cannot do. Okay, it's not allowed under the scheme. And in as far as payment for IVF, you can also do it. We will pay. I mean, remember, we will pay for what you, the farmer, wants on your farm, as long as it's farming related and it adds value to you. So that we can pay, whether you're buying a stud bull yourself, or you want to buy embryos or semen. It's an operating cost for a business which falls under working capital. We will fund that. Okay. And then there's a question that came up on the chat box, which is very important that I answer so that we all benefit from the answer for myself. Gauteng is just a province. Like we once said, we've got a national footprint. So in each and every province, we've got presentations where we've got an office, and in some instances, we even have satellite offices. So my encouragement is that you go to the website and you will see under the province, if you're in the Northern Cape, it will give you contact details, physical address, and who to speak to should you be farming in that area. The sessions that I spoke about, I introduced them to Gauteng for no other reason but the fact that, you know what, there is a huge volume of people that come in. I think on average per week, I present to no less than 25, 30 people. Now, if I don't put them in one room, it becomes almost impossible to do anything else but entertain them when they come in one by one, which is not sustainable. However, in the other provinces, they don't have the numbers that justify a weekly intervention of this nature. But I would still encourage you to make a phone call to the provincial head. We will invite you if he's having and when he has it, or if in need, you need to walk in to the office and get the assistance that you need. Thank you very much.
No, thank you so much, Ntate Chris. We'll take our last two hands. One is from Ntate Mfolo. Ntate Mfolo, please ask a question.
Okay, evening, everyone.
Evening.
The question that I have is because years back, I think I did apply to Landbank, and then my interest was to purchase a farm with some livestock. And then by that time, I think I was using a communal land with 450 cattle. And then now, to my surprise, after submitting my application, I was expected to pay a deposit, apparently, for my loan to be approved, and was about 5.5 million required. And then my question to Land Bank, I was intending to seed some of my assets to be able to raise that 5.5 million, but my loan was never finalized because I didn't have a deposit. So I'm not sure whether currently the deposit is still required if maybe you want to acquire a land or maybe the livestock from Land Bank. Thank you.
All right, no, thank you so much, Ntate Mfolo. Our second speaker is Ntate Puti Ramos Sebudi. Ntate Puti. Ntate Puti. Ntate Puti. Okay.
Able to
She's
hear me?
not, or
Can I?
he's not.
No,
Oh,
I'm
yes, yes,
sorry.
yes. All right.
Sorry, let me start again. Sorry, I thought I was audible. Thanks, Ntate Chaka and Yvonne. I listened to your presentation. I was just trying to tie it to a communal farmer and see how the two products, I'm just going to summarize and say two products, would be more suitable to a communal farmer, both like small stock and cattle. Thanks.
Let me go first, Mr. Puti, and then Mr. Chaga can answer your question from the bank side and the first question that we had. So from our side as Land Bank Insurance, we will still cover you on communal land, because remember, we cover you for lightning, not for anything that will be impacted by you being on communal land. That is both on the index side and on the asset side.
Noted. No, thank you so much. Let's take the last question. Is from May on Tate Gates. Yeah, sorry, saying. Yeah, I'm very bad with names. My apologies. You are muted. All right. GT time will allow a Vesis Biela. May on Tate Biela. All right, still no response. And then okay, the last question, we can give it to Ntate Agri Mahanjana. Ntate Agri on Ntate Mahanjana, please unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you. I think my question was directed to you, Yvonne. I wanted to ask, if you are not a land bank client, would you be able to access the land bank insurance if you don't have any loan with land bank, but you are interested in this insurance part for your livestock?
Okay, no, thank you so much, Ntate Mahanjane. May Yvonne?
Thank you so much, Khomotso. Yes, you can 100% access the land bank insurance product, even if you are not the client of the bank.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much all for joining us this evening.
There was one question.
All right.
Yeah, there's a question that I did not answer, which was asked by Mfolo. Can I please answer that question?
All right.
Before you close.
All right.
He was asking about the purchase of a farm with livestock, something that he did some moons back, and at that time he was asked to pay a deposit of sorts of 5.5 million thereabout.
Oh, yes.
Now, the purpose of the grant funding is to de-risk the transaction. Okay, so if you apply for to buy a farm, say a farm is 10 million rands, and you qualify, 5 million will be a grant, 5 million will be a loan. So this is the 5 million that you might have been asked to think, because your deal was, the security was not adequate, or the deal was not washing its face. So the purpose of the grant is an initiative by the government to assist people in your situation who would want to do something within the agricultural space, but are actually hamstrung because of not having the capital, which is why the grant then comes in as your equity in the thing. So I'm not sure where you applied. It might not be a bad idea to revisit your application. Maybe the farm is not available, but the product that will de-risk you now is available. and you should maybe attempt and see if it will work for you. And then there was a question around communal farmers. Okay,
Yes,
I think it was directed at livestock, and this came from Puti. Okay, so we do fund communal farm or people farming on communal land. On communal land, you either get a permission to occupy, which is a PTO from the tribal authority, and on the basis of that, we will fund you, because what we want is for you to have secure tenure of the land. But you must be very careful to make sure that the tenure of the land that you get is more than the loan, the life of the loan that you want to take, because we cannot fund you for a 5-year loan when your lease is 3 years. Because what happens if the lease is not renewed? So that is the one thing.
Yes.
And most importantly, on leases, you must not get a lease that is more than 9 years, 11 months. This is because a lease that is more than 9 years, 11 months needs to be registered with the deeds office. And in the case of PTOs, there is no title deeds to register with the deeds office. So you will struggle. And also you'd rather have a 9-year, 11-month lease that is renewable. It's as good as evergreen. Coming with 50-year leases, 25-year leases, as we sometimes see at the bank, those do not mean anything or do not work in your favor, because they are not registered when they need a way. If we are to assess it, it needs to be registered. So be very mindful of the fact that your lease, if you cannot make it max 9 years, 11 months, because therefore there you don't need to register it. And anything more than that, if you need to register, then by all means register. We also fund leases from CPAs as well. So if you can get yourself a lease from a CPA, same conditions, we will still be able to fund you on tribal land. We cannot fund permanent infrastructure on leased land. This is because the land is not yours. And if you default, there is no recourse for the bank. But we can fund cows, we can fund production inputs, we can fund tractors and implements, because those are our security in the event of default. Thanks, Khomotso.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. We are running out of time. We have already run out of time already. So yeah, so we just have to cut it here. Thank you all for joining this wonderful session in this evening. Special thank you to our guest speakers, May Yvonne and Tate Chris, for sharing such invaluable insights and practical knowledge. Your contribution is highly, highly, highly appreciated. We hope this session has given you a clear understanding on practical tools available through Land Bank, and you use them towards your farming enterprise to support your business to grow more bigger than it is at the moment. As we always encourage you to stay connected, keep asking those questions and make use of the available resources that are and use of those resources that are available to you. Before we conclude the session, we'd like to give Ndate and Chris a last chance to say some last words and also share their contacts.
Thank you so much. So they say ladies first.
Yes.
I'll take the opportunity. All right, but thank you so much to RMIS for allowing us to have this conversation with the farmers. It was really engaging. We really love the questions. Please do contact us. I unfortunately cannot write in the chat for some reason, but I've shared all my brochures, my cell phone number. I can, Khomotso there if you have it. Oh, person doesn't even know her own cell phone number. If you can please share it with the farmers on the chat box, Khomotso, it will really be appreciated. But it is 065-865-1706.
Please
you can
repeat that again. 065
065-865-1706.
1706. Right.
Yes. Please, WhatsApp is the best one to contact me. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything, all your time. Bye.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Yvonne. Dr. Chris?
Yes, thank you so much to you, Khomotso, for allowing us to present to your wonderful audience here. My contact details are 083 406 5748. Also, WhatsApps are the best way. But if you go on the website, you see not only my details, but also the other provincial network details, depending on where you are. Feel free to use those numbers as well. If you are in Northwest and you're closer to our Vryburg office, it makes sense for you to deal directly with that province. But for Gauteng and immediate surrounding, my numbers are 083 406 5748. Thank you once again and have a wonderful evening.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Chris. So if you miss any part of the session or maybe you want to revisit, please note that the session is going to be uploaded on our YouTube channel, so you can have plenty of time to review it and use these contact details that we just provided to you to ask those questions and make sure that your farm keeps on growing very well. Until next time, stay safe and informed. Keep that farming Star Nation at all time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Khomotso.
Thank you. Thank you.